Right, first thing first, what we want to do here is to fix this problem with the coloring. So in our viewDidLoad function, we want to tell our code that we want permanently the user interface to be dark. So I'm going to say override user interface style is equals dot dark. So having this, you can see how our UI looks like now. You can see these are gray. And if I rerun the application, you will see that the placeholders look actually white now and they are readable. So this said, let's also do one more thing. When we are using software keyboard and our user is typing for password or etc., what we want to have is an option to hide the keyboard. So I'm going to put a background click. So whenever our user taps on a background, this keyboard will disappear. So in our viewDidLoad, we are going to call a function, which first let's write the function and then we can call it. Otherwise it will give us an error. Or it's even better I show you what error it gives, because sometimes user ask me what this error means, and I'm going to show you the error and then I'm going to explain you what the error is. So the function is going to be called setup background touch. Right, so we are calling a function and now Xcode will throw an error. This cannot find setup background touch in scope. And what this actually means is you are calling a function or a variable name even that doesn't actually exist. So we haven't declared this function yet, but we are calling it. So if you happen to see this error, so now you know what the error stands for. So in order to fix the error, we simply have to do our setup. We need to write this function. So I'm going to copy this. Then let's put a mark here, call this setup. And let's create a private func and put the name here. And you see that this will disappear, the error now, because we have declared that we have this function. And then we can call it. Let's see what we need to do in our setup background touch. So we need to have a gesture recognizer that whenever our user taps on a specific area, we want to be notified, and then the function will be called, and then this function will hide our keyboard. So we need to add this gesture recognizer to a view. So currently, if we go to our storyboard, you can see our background is this picture view. So we can connect this picture view to our user interface. I'm just going to open the assistant editor again, and let's drag from our background. Oh, not this one. And I put it here. I'm going to call this background image view. And let's do the same for the sign up, because here we are going to implement the exact same thing. So say background image view, just hit enter. And let's close our assistant editor and get back to our view here. I'm going to close these side panels because I need the space to work. Also, there is another cool thing in Xcode 12, sorry, is if you do full screen, and if you have the right panel here hidden, you can just scroll here your mouse and it's gonna pop up and you can select what file you want. And once you are done, it will go away. But this doesn't happen with the right panel. You cannot bring your mouse here and it doesn't pop up. So it's only on the left navigation panel there. Okay, so in our setup background touch, now that we have access to our background image view, what we need to do the first is to make it user interactable. So the user interaction should be enabled on that specific view. So if I say background image view dot is user interaction enabled equals to true, it means that our user can interact with that view. That said, now we can create a gesture recognizer. So I'm going to say let tap gesture recognizer. Actually, let's tap gesture equals UI tap gesture recognizer. And we're going to create one with a target and action. The target is going to be our view. So our current view needs to be notified whenever a user uses this gesture. So whenever the tap happens. So the target is going to be self, and action is actually the function that will be called every time our background image view receives a tap. So we are going to create this function. First, we are going to give it a name. So we put hashtag selector, and this you can see it gives Objective-C method. The method name is going to be called background tap, and of course it doesn't exist, so it's gonna tell us that there is a problem. We're going to fix this. You can see it's cannot find background tap in scope. We will do that just in a second. The last thing we need to do is we have a background view, we have a gesture recognizer. Now we need to add this gesture recognizer to the background view. So we say background image view dot add gesture recognizer, and here we just pass our tap gesture recognizer. So this part is set, and now we need to declare this function. So I'm going to write this function. You cannot just say func and then say background. Just copy this, because remember when we were doing this, it was telling us this is gonna be an Objective-C function. You can see now the error has changed, and actually our Xcode is providing us a solution to fix it. So if I click fix, it just add Object-C in front of our function, and this gets rid of the error. I don't know why, but so far Apple keeps requiring us to declare that this is an Objective-C type function in order for the tap gestures to call these functions. So let's just test how this works. I'm going to put a print, and let's say tap, and if I run, we should see a tap printout in console if I happen to click the background. So this way we can check if the function is actually working. Okay, since I have this in full screen, let me just clean this console area. And also I want to exit the full screen so we have it here. So when I click this text field, nothing happens. But if I click on a background here, you can see it says tap, tap, tap. So this thing works. So what I want to do is to have another function that's gonna hide my keyboard. So I'm going to put a mark here called these helpers and say private func dismiss keyboard. And this function's job is just to dismiss the keyboard. And instead of the tab, I want to call the function. So I say dismiss keyboard. And in our dismiss keyboard, we are going to say self.view.end editing. And force, we say false. We don't want to force it. This code here dismisses the keyboard no matter which of the text fields or other views is displaying. Otherwise, you had to check which one of the text fields is displaying and ask that text field to resign the first responder so the keyboard could go away. But right now, no matter how the keyboard appeared for which view, by just writing self view and editing, it's gonna dismiss the keyboard. So let's just try it. You can see it works. You can just click on a background and keyboard is disappearing.